A stretch of the interstate that was closed for 12 hours is back open this morning. We have the latest on the cleanup and the investigation.
People living on Madison's north side are planning to share their thoughts about the future of the Oscar Mayer plant that's set to be redeveloped over the next few years.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to News 3 This Morning. It's Thursday, August 2nd, second day of the month. Welcome back.
Thanks.
Hope you had a nice day off.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice. It was a nice day to enjoy at the very least.
Beautiful day yesterday. Yeah. Not bad today, just a little cooler. It won't feel like August today with highs only in the 70s. Here's a live look outside the WISC-TV sky cam. Just about 15 minutes ago, I swear we had some sunshine on this view, but it is pretty much cloudy right now, and that'll be the case through the morning. Mostly cloudy skies across southern Wisconsin. Doppler track is showing you that all the rain from overnight really exiting the area pretty quickly. Can't rule out a few isolated showers still popping up, especially in southeastern Wisconsin this morning. Otherwise, we should see drier air moving in this afternoon. Northwest winds and cooler temperatures. Will top only in the low 70s later today. Let's take a look at your first alert traffic maps this morning. We'll see what's happening in and around Madison. Things are still pretty quiet around the area, but as those CrossFit games get going later this morning, look for some delays around the Alliant Energy Center. Otherwise, heading into Madison, no accidents to report right now around the area, so you're still going at posted speeds.
Always good news to report.
That's true.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We start this morning in Juneau County, where within the last few hours, State Patrol has reopened the interstate there after a deadly crash involving thousands of gallons of diesel spilled on that highway. 2 people died in the accident yesterday afternoon that involved 3 semi-trucks, 2 SUVs, and a motorcycle. This happened on the westbound side of I-90, shutting down those lanes at the Highway 82 interchange near Boston. Again, that section of the highway was closed for 12 hours overnight. Now, state troopers say one of the semi-drivers ran into a car that slowed down ahead of him on the road. One of the trucks then blew up and caught on fire. That's what the images you're seeing here. It spilled more than 6,000 gallons of fuel onto the highway. Backup stretched for more than 5 miles as investigators try to clean up this scene. We're continuing to follow this situation, and we'll have updates over on channel3000.com.
The jury is expected to start deliberations either today or tomorrow in the case of a Middleton man accused of killing his senior citizen landlord. We're talking about John Hammond. He's accused of hitting 82-year-old Agnes Bram in the head multiple times inside her University Avenue home in Middleton last year. His mother, Marjorie, testified on Wednesday she was upset. Her son had posted on Facebook that he thought women were evil, but she testified she did not tell investigators she worried her son would hurt her.
And it was in every newspaper, sensationally on every television station, and it still is. And it is absolutely untrue. I've never thought it. I've never in my life been afraid of him. I wouldn't have thought it. I wouldn't have said it.
If convicted of first-degree murder, Hammond faces a sentence of life in prison without parole. His trial is expected to last through the end of this week. 6:03 right now. People living on Madison's north side are hoping the site of the former Oscar Mayer plant will soon be redeveloped.
Now, what's next for that site will be ultimately up to a private company that bought that land. But at a meeting tonight, people who live in the area can share their suggestions on what they hope becomes of it. Christina Lori's live from Madison's north side this morning with why this is so important for the people living in that area. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning, Anna Danica. Oscar Mayer provided an economic boost, as you said, for the north side for nearly 100 years, generating millions of dollars for the local economy and pouring thousands of jobs, providing thousands of jobs for the city of Madison as well. Now, people who live in this area hope to see some economic reinvigoration happen, and fast. Last year, Madison's Common Council established the Oscar Mayer Strategic Assessment Committee to recommend a plan for redeveloping this site. Former Alder Satya Conway Rhodes is on that committee and is currently running for mayor. She says that while the private landowners have the final say, people who live on the north side hope their ideas are considered.
I think that they're really focusing on leasing of the buildings that they can use now. They're trying to lease them out, but there's a lot of open space on the site, and there's also some buildings that probably can't be reused. So I think that they're looking to lease what they can and then think about redeveloping over time the buildings that can't be leased right away.
This site is currently zoned for heavy industrial use, but people who live near here hope the redevelopment will help address a variety of issues like improving bicycle, pedestrian, and auto connectivity with surrounding neighborhoods, increasing affordable housing and public spaces, and attracting new employers and livable jobs. Now, tonight's meeting starts at 6 o'clock. That will be at the Warner Park Recreation Center. The planning committee hopes to release a finalized vision within the next 3 months, and they hope to have that vision executed within the next 5 years. So sometime, but at least a timetable will be on the line.
Certainly a plan that's constantly evolving at this point. We'll be sure to keep track of it. Christina Laurie reporting live from the north side. Thanks, Christina.
In Kenosha today, there's an opportunity to learn about the Republican candidates for Wisconsin's first congressional district seat. This is the seat being given up by Republican House Speaker Paul Ryan. It's the only debate set up before the August 14th primary. Nick Pulse, Kevin Adam Steen have both confirmed they will be there. Republican Party of Kenosha says Brian Stiles been invited, has not confirmed though yet. That debate's going to be at Gateway Technical College in Kenosha from 7 to 8:30 tonight. Kathy Myers and Randy Bryce are the Democratic candidates in that district.
First alert traffic-wise this morning, we wanted to share another reminder about possible backups on and near John Nolan Drive and Rimrock Road this morning. This is something Hattie brought up briefly in her first alert traffic. The CrossFit Games continue today at the Alliant Energy Center. We saw red on the traffic maps for most of rush hour yesterday, extending all the way out to the Beltline around there. And we expect more of the same today and tomorrow. Just a note, though, Dane County Sheriff's deputies will be stationed around the event itself, directing traffic.
So if you want to watch the CrossFit Games, you'll be able to see some of the events here on News 3. CBS is going to have an hour of live coverage Saturday at noon, Sunday morning at 11. There's going to be additional coverage on cable on the CBS Sports Network starting at 9 o'clock tonight all week long. And today, Live at 4 is going to be live on location at the Alliant Energy Center. Mark Kane, Susan Simon, meteorologist Chris Reese.
Not sure if they're going to have the best day weather-wise to be at the CrossFit Games, unfortunately. Hattie says it'll be cloudy this morning. There's a small chance for some rain coming through our area as well. She's also forecasting a big change for the weekend temperature-wise when we come back.
And all three of my kids had hand, foot, and mouth disease a number of years ago. It was a horrible experience that's now impacting a couple of different Major League Baseball teams, one in the middle of a pennant race. We're going to talk to our medical expert, Dr. Mandira Mehra, about it when News 3 This Morning returns.
Good morning from the patio. Still pretty damp outside here on the west side of town and likely across most of southern Wisconsin. We had a cold front move through last night, which brought some showers and thunderstorms. No severe weather, but some areas did pick up over an inch of rain as estimated by the radar map close to Sauk City. Here in Madison, officially at the station, we had about 0.6 of an inch of rain as that front passed through. So some brief heavy rain last night. Most areas at least saw a little bit. This morning, little is the key word. There's not a whole lot left on the radar map right now. A few isolated showers are still possible, especially south and east of Madison as we go through the next couple of hours, but things are generally going to be trending drier through the day today. Here's a look at satellite and radar trends, and again, quite a bit of cloud cover lingering across southern Wisconsin. Also, low clouds in the Northwoods this morning, so we are going to be a little slower to clear today. I would expect that clearing trend, though, to start to take place this afternoon. Here's a look from the Edgewater Sky Cam. Definitely a cloud deck in the area this morning. That's a pretty gray start to the day today. Temperatures are still dropping. 61 here in Madison, 63 in Janesville, 64 in Platteville, and 62 in the Dells. As you get north of Camp Douglas, temperatures this morning are in the 50s. Future track wind speeds today are going to be very light, but our southwest wind this morning will shift to the northwest by the lunch hour today. It is going to be a little bit of a cooler day today, feeling maybe a little bit more like fall than summer. Winds, though, will stay at light 5 to 10 miles per hour. Future track showing you those clouds in place this morning and a potential for a few sprinkles or very light showers to pop up as we head through the lunch hour. After that, we really start to dry out and those clouds begin to break up a little bit. Temperatures will be getting back into the low to mid 70s across southern Wisconsin. That clearing trend will continue overnight tonight, right into tomorrow. A lot of sunshine in our forecast tomorrow with high temperatures back in the 80s. We're going to warm it up very quickly this weekend. Highs in the upper 80s both Saturday and Sunday. The humidity will increase as well, so it will feel a little bit more uncomfortable this weekend. Looks like our rain chances, though, will hold off until late on Sunday night. So mainly a dry weekend ahead. Let's get a look at First Alert traffic now with Josh Tim. Good morning, Josh.
Yeah, it's a quiet start on the Beltline this morning. Everything is moving along well in both directions with no delays showing up quite yet. Other roads here in Dane County not looking too bad either. Just a few of the usual brake lights on Verona Road near the Beltline, along with inbound John Nolan between Rimrock and Olin Avenue. No delays downtown around the Capitol Square or on UW campus. Volume shouldn't be an issue at least for another half hour or so. And other main routes heading into the city, including on the interstate, they're moving along at the usual speeds with no crashes or delays. Your First Alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you, Josh, and thank you, Hattie. 6:13 right now, and it's a viral infection that's normally spread when kids cough or sneeze. And right now it is hitting a couple of Major League Baseball players. We're talking about hand, foot, and mouth disease.
So there's a New York Yankees pitcher who thinks he got it on a flight, a New York Mets pitcher who thinks he got it by working at a camp for kids. Doctors are seeing outbreaks right now in Indiana, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia. Our medical expert, Dr. Mandira Mehra from SSM Health, is here this morning with her thoughts. Good morning.
Good morning.
I won't gross you out with the details. She's a doctor. She can handle it. But all three of my kids, and I got it.
Right.
6 years ago, it was miserable. We were talking about it yesterday, just in advance of the segment, and everybody was like, whoa, why are you even talking about this? What's going on right now?
Yeah, it's pretty traumatic, Adam, when you are affected by it or your kids are affected by it. And just like you said, it can take out households and schools and now Major League Baseball players. So what happens is it's a very contagious virus called the Coxsackie virus. And so it's very well known for, of course, fever, malaise, sore throat, this rash that basically breaks out these blisters on possibly your hands, your feet, the palms of your hands, and your mouth and your throat. And as we were talking,
that's where I got it. I got it right on my throat. And my youngest too. We couldn't swallow.
Exactly, and that's one of the scariest things here about this disease process is that, especially in kids, because the pain is so bad in the mouth and the throat, they're limited in what they can eat. They go through dehydration, and so we have a lot of tips here for, of course, our viewers in case you do have this. For the most part, it's a self-limiting disease. Right now, there are some outbreaks in the country, but this happens kind of seasonally. Adults are not immune to this, but of course we see it in the under 5 and under 10 age category more commonly.
Yeah.
Usually by the time we're adults, hopefully we have some antibodies and some immunity built up, but
Sorry,
of course,
buddy.
not all of us do.
Yeah.
But if you are exposed to it, or if you know your kids are exposed to it, of course, keep them home from the daycare, the schools, that kind of thing. Decontaminate all surfaces using soap, water. Some hot water rinses are always good, and make sure if your child has it to, of course, keep them hydrated, keep the fluids going.
Yeah.
Poor guys.
Yeah.
It was not a pleasant
Oh,
experience.
my goodness. Wanted to switch gears, Dr. Mara, and talk a little bit about something that the state's been dealing with, and that's deaths by the fake marijuana out there, the synthetic synthetic weed. And
Right.
you know, what makes this stuff so dangerous? And I guess I'm sure a lot of people are wondering why it's legal, you know?
Right, exactly. And so, of course, marijuana right now is a very hot topic in the country, as well as medicinally, and that's a whole different topic. But the fake marijuana, the synthetic weed, is really crucial here to talk about because it's killing people. Now, we've had a number of cases in the country where basically what you're looking at is substances of dried plants that are sprayed with these different chemicals. And so the side effects every few months now are changing because those chemicals are different. One of the main chemicals in there is actually a rat poison. So I know we talk about warfarin, which a lot of patients are on. Coumadin is the other name for it. It thins your blood. That too is a rat poison. Take that rat poison and make it times 10. And so what ends up happening is if you're using this K2 spice, basically any synthetic or fake marijuana, you're basically getting exposed to this pesticide or this severe type of chemical that stops your blood from forming clots. And so what ends up happening, you could get a paper cut, you can start vomiting blood, you could be coughing up blood, you could notice it in your urine or your stool. If you have been exposed to K2, if you've taken it or you're thinking about taking it, first of all, don't. Secondly, tell your doctor because you may not be in the clear even if you have not manifested signs and symptoms. Your doctor will do some lab tests, possibly give you high doses of vitamin K. It can be life-threatening, so definitely try to stay away from this.
First death reported in Wisconsin yesterday
Yep.
in the Milwaukee area. Just something to obviously keep up to speed on.
And about 32 cases just in the state, and if you look at the tri-state area, over 50, 60 cases already.
Wow.
Good to see you.
Nice
Dr.
to see
Mara
you.
from
Yeah.
SSM Health. Thank you.
Nice to see
Appreciate
you.
it.
6:17 right now, and we continue to see evidence of neighbors coming together to help one another after tragedy. Coming up, we will take you to Sun Prairie, one of the restaurants directly impacted by last month's fatal explosion, to see how its big reopening went.
And there's a big warm-up coming over the next few days. Enjoy the cooler temperatures today because Hattie says summer is back with a vengeance over the weekend. She's updating her first alert forecast next on News 3 this morning.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Hattie McLean. Temperatures are in the 60s this morning. It's a little cool for me to be in the pool, but the polar bear doesn't mind. Barrett's having a swim this morning, doing laps already. Maybe a little cool for the pool today across the entire area. You'll be dodging a few raindrops early today in southeastern Wisconsin. Otherwise, a drying trend with our forecast. Take a look at these temperatures this morning, though. 62 here in Madison, drops to 59 in La Crosse, and down to 52 in Superior. Temperatures over the next 12 hours, a lot of clouds this morning, so a very slow warm up. Temps will only be in the mid 60s by lunchtime. We'll top in the low 70s this afternoon. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Hattie. 6:21 right now. If you're watching the commercials for this newscast, you are well aware we are in the middle of Wisconsin's first ever sales tax holiday for back to school supplies. From now until Sunday night, you can buy school supplies and clothes for $75 or less, as well as computers that are $750 or less, and not have to pay the state sales tax. Tonight on News 3 at 10, we're going to take a closer look at whether you actually save money with this holiday and whether businesses benefit as well.
I think people should be really kind of aware of are they really getting the best prices at that time frame, and what's the actual discount amount? So like in the state of Wisconsin, 5% is pretty much what we're dealing with in most areas, depending on your municipality's local tax laws.
So this local 5-day state sales tax holiday was created under a bill Governor Walker signed into law back in April. It's costing the state roughly $15 million to implement. Wisconsin joins more than a dozen other states in having these types of sales tax-free holidays.
There are more signs of things returning to normal in Sun Prairie this morning as more downtown businesses open their doors for the first time since last month's deadly explosion. Salvatore's Tomato Pies was able to reopen yesterday after weeks of cleanup and waiting for gas power to be restored there. Many of the workers hadn't actually been in the restaurant since the explosion. The owner of that pizza shop says it's good to be getting back to work.
Once again, we tried to do it as much as we could when we were closed. But to be back in action makes us feel like things are maybe starting to become a little more normal.
Salvatore's is actually only a few doors down from the explosion, so they had to wait a little longer than others to open. Sun Prairie's Chamber of Commerce says there are some businesses that you can't drive to that are open to customers. You can check out the Chamber's website for an updated list of what businesses are open.
6:23 right now. There are 3 people in the hospital this morning after 2 different shootings in our area late yesterday. Over the day's top stories here in a couple of minutes.
And as one of the public market's leading advocates leaves her job, we will get an update on what's next for that facility set to be built next year near East High School. The news is back in the morning on News 3 this morning.
We're learning more this morning that an overnight shooting in Fitchburg was targeted and that the victim remains in the hospital.
And neighbors on Madison's north side want housing, bike paths, and good jobs at the old Oscar Mayer plant. They have a chance to voice their opinions tonight.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome back to the last half hour of News 3 This Morning. It is now just about 6:27 on this Thursday, August 2nd.
It's been a nice morning so far once the rain overnight played out. I don't know if you slept through it. Hattie and I have both been up since like 11:30.
Oh, I'm sorry. I slept right through
Good morning,
it.
Hats.
Good morning. Yeah, I feel like I've been up for many hours already this morning. We did have some showers and thunderstorms rolling through the area overnight, right about midnight here in Madison. So still damp this morning, but no rain falling right now. Here's a live look from the WISC-TV Skycam. Unlike the other mornings this week, we start with cloudy skies this morning. It is a gray start to the day. Satellite and radar trends showing you most of the rain exiting out over Lake Michigan. Still can't rule out an isolated shower or two yet this morning, mainly southeast of Madison. Otherwise, just a cloudy start to the day. Temperatures are still in the 60s, though, for the most part. 62 here in Madison, 60 in Viroqua, 64 in Platteville, and 63 in Janesville. We do see 50s on the map to the north. Temps will be very slow to warm up today. With clouds in place this morning, we'll still be in the 60s at lunchtime, topping only in the low 70s this afternoon. Now let's get a look at those first alert traffic maps early today. Here is a look at what we have across our area. No accidents or delays just yet. A few brake lights showing up on the belt line at Stoughton Road. Otherwise, you're still going at posted speeds heading into Madison. And that's your first alert traffic.
Thank you very much, Hattie. We start this half hour with developing news out of Fitchburg, where detectives are looking for the people responsible for breaking into an apartment and shooting a man inside. This happened in an apartment on Pike Drive, just behind the BMO Harris Bank on Fish Hatchery Road. Fitchburg officers say multiple people came into that victim's apartment just after 10 o'clock last night and attacked him before firing multiple shots. Police say one of the suspects, the one who fired the shot in particular, may have an injury from the fight. Meanwhile, the man who was shot is being treated for serious injuries but is expected to be okay.
In Beloit, detectives are still looking for the person who shot a 15-year-old boy and a 41-year-old man yesterday afternoon. Now, the teenager was in stable condition. The man had to have surgery yesterday after he was shot in the stomach. We're hoping for an update on his condition this morning. All this happened just after 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon along Oak Street. That's near Hackett Elementary School in Beloit. Roads around that area are back open this morning. A spokesperson for the Beloit Police Department says the shooter knew both of the victims, but it's not clear right now if the victims knew each other.
We should learn later today whether there's enough evidence to send a Madison man to trial after he was accused of killing one man and trying to shoot the witnesses. Now, Dane County prosecutors say 36-year-old Antonio Gentry shot 24-year-old Rayshawn Jackson in the back of the head at close range in southeast Madison back in May. Madison police detectives say there was an ongoing conflict between those two men. According to court documents, Gentry tried to shoot other people in the area who saw him shoot Jackson, but the gun jammed when he pulled the trigger. Gentry was later found hiding in a nearby apartment complex. He faces a total of 10 felony charges, including first-degree intentional homicide. He's being held in the Dane County Jail right now on $1 million bond. We will have an update later this morning on channel3000.com.
The village of Mount Pleasant is still working to buy all of the land it needs for the full Foxconn development. Yesterday was the original deadline between the village, Racine County, and Foxconn for all of the land to be turned over to the company so it could build its 20 million square foot campus. The village president says land negotiations have been going well and that it's bought 120 of the 130 plots that it needs. So all this is coming as Foxconn's talking about powering this factory with large amounts of solar and renewable energy. The American Transmission Company says Foxconn facility is going to use 6 times more energy than any other Wisconsin business. So at its peak in the 1970s, Oscar Mayer was basically Madison's version of Foxconn.
Yeah.
4,000 people worked at the plant. And now, more than a year after it shut down, city leaders and people who live on the north side are hoping to bring that kind of life back to the area.
They're hoping that at a meeting tonight will be a step forward into regaining some of that economic prosperity. Christina Laurie is live from the north side this morning to explain why the city could have some leverage over the future of that land. Christina, good morning.
Good morning, Danica and Adam. It's ultimately up to a private company, Reich Brothers Holding, as for what will happen to this nearly 2,000 square feet of land behind me. But the city does have a number of tools they can use to help make sure people who live around this area's voices are heard. Officials can encourage some types of redevelopment by offering tax incentives or some other subsidies. The site is also zoned as a heavy industrial site, so some types of development would require city approval, another bargaining chip in the city's pocket. The city's Oscar Mayer Strategic Assessment Committee is made up of city leaders and community members and will consider some of the input they get tonight when they ultimately recommend a redevelopment plan.
So far, we've had a great relationship with the new owners, the Reich Brothers and the Rabin Company. They've either been at all of the meetings of the committee or sent a representative or given us a report. And they have said that they're interested in what the committee and what the city as a whole wants to see on the site.
Because of that, members of the committee are confident the Reich brothers will listen to what the community has to say. Tonight's meeting will start at 6 o'clock. It will be at the Warner Park Community Recreation Center. It's open to anyone who lives in this area. Ultimately, that planning committee hopes to have some redevelopment suggestions within the next 3 months, and they hope to have those plans implemented within the next 5 years.
Certainly an ongoing process that we will continue to follow. Christina Laurie reporting live for us this morning. Thank you, Christina.
Another major development here in the city of Madison in the future is going to be about the public market. We're going to find out tonight how those plans are going to build that. So the next big step for the market is to actually hire the architect to design it. It's set to be built near Burr Jones Park, just off East Wash and First Street. City committee tonight's going to find out how fundraising has been going, as well as updating design plans. Now, this meeting comes just after the recent resignation of the Public Market Foundation's chair, Mayra Medrano. She's going to graduate school out of state. We hope to have an update later on tonight on channel3000.com.
Madison leaders are set to start taking bids for development projects in the city that are eligible for certain federal grants. Most of the $6 million available will go toward a program that helps neighbors and developers repair homes and pay rent. There will also be money allocated for projects that use renewable energy. The Community Development Block Grant Committee is set to approve the process at its meeting today. Grant decisions are set to be made by December.
It's 6:33 right now. If you need to get your cream puff fix, there's some good news. The Wisconsin State Fair starts today. The gates will open at the fairgrounds in West Dallas 8 o'clock this morning. As always, there's a bunch of unique food options to choose from this year, including the bacon-wrapped pork loin and French onion soup on a stick. You can find all of that food, options, concerts, events online at wistatefair.org. The State Fair runs through August 12th.
6:34 right now. The Big Ten's highest paid coach is on leave this morning, and there are questions of whether he will be around to even start the season. We'll have the latest in the morning sprint.
And Leah Lynchide's going to be here previewing a special Call for Action phone bank tonight. She's sharing this man's success story to let you know how our volunteers can help you. That's coming up on News 3 this morning. Welcome back to the program at 6:37 right now on this Thursday morning. The time of the morning we always ask you to share a little bit about what's going on in your world. I'm still on my flower kick, Dee.
Nice.
Jennifer Harris posted this picture on Facebook. Great color. Kind of cloudy out today, so it's not a bad kind of contrast. Thank you so much for sharing, Jennifer. We appreciate it.
I was just going to say that it's bringing the sunshine on this sort of hazy, overcast morning. What does your morning look like? Take a picture, post it over on our Facebook, Twitter page, Instagram, whatever it is. Use that hashtag MyNews3Morning, and we always share our favorites right here on the program. So we know it can be tough to catch our call for action volunteers over the lunch hour, so there's a special opportunity to reach them tonight.
Before that phone bank tonight, we wanted to highlight another call for action success story. I love the call for action success stories. Leah Lynchai joins us now with a look at the type of problems our volunteers can help solve. Good morning.
Who doesn't love a call for action success story? They are great, and we love to feature them here on News 3 this morning and on our other newscasts. But you might be familiar with our call for action program here at News 3. If you're not, we have volunteers who graciously donate their time and some pretty specific skill sets to mediate on your behalf with a company that just isn't giving you the time of day. Now, normally you can give us a call during lunch hours on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. But tonight we're opening up the phone lines to take calls between 5 and 7 for you folks who work during the day. Now, the issues they can help with, they run the gamut. Here's one we recently solved. Michael Pochner is from Lone Rock. Like lots of us, he pays his cell phone bill online. But this summer, he made a small mistake.
For July, they sent me a bill. They took off my July bill from the $9,000. I said, no, I don't want you guys doing this. It would take a lifetime to use up $9,000, and I want my money back.
Michael meant to pay $94 on his bill, accidentally paid $9,000. Now, he called his cell phone company for a month or more straight with no straight answer until call for action volunteers got involved. That's when he finally received that $9,000 check back. Now, we love stories like that, and we want to create more. So give us a call tonight between 5 and 7. That number, 608-270-2833. If you forget it, you can find it on our website, channel3000.com.
So many of these stories are people who just they had nowhere else to turn. Like they were just so frustrated, and they finally found a volunteer, somebody who will actually advocate for them.
And it's very frustrating to hear of these companies who don't just do the right thing in the first place. I mean, we don't want to come calling. We don't want to come bug you. We want you to do the right thing.
We'd love for these volunteers to have nothing to do.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, that's not the case.
$9,000 cell phone bill? Not really.
Not great.
No, thank you.
All right, thanks, Leah. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So at 6:40 right now, most of the rain has cleared out for now, but it's still going to be kind of cloudy over the next couple of hours. Hattie's talking this morning about a couple of significant weather changes. One today, another coming as we get into the weekend. Her first alert forecast is up next.
First, though, it is August 2nd, and we want to say happy birthday to Nathaniel, Ramsey, Savi, and all the kids turning 3 today. Thanks for letting us help you celebrate right here on News 3 this morning.
Taking a live look outside right now on the west side of Madison. Clouds this morning. This afternoon should be really nice. A lot cooler than normal, but it's going to really heat up this weekend. Hattie's first alert forecast is coming up. So it's just the clouds out this morning, not smog, but there's still a leading environmental group challenging federal smog regulations now in effect here in Wisconsin. The group Clean Wisconsin filed a lawsuit in Washington this week alleging the EPA's change to smog regulations earlier this summer fails to reduce Wisconsin's air pollution. In June, the EPA sharply limited the areas of the state that now face tougher regulations to just a few small strips of land along Lake Michigan. The environmental nonprofit says it was only in December that the agency determined a much larger area of southern Wisconsin was in violation of its rules protecting communities from air pollution.
Farmers in Dane County could start receiving financial incentives for trying to reduce runoff. That runoff could include phosphorus, which is one of the main causes of blue-green algae blooms that we've been seeing so often in the area lakes this summer. The State Journal reports a county board task force is recommending farmers submit their fertilizer management plans to a county database. That group's also recommending financial aid and subsidies for farmers that make the effort to help with this kind of runoff. Those suggestions will be considered by the county board during budget talks.
Not a bad day to be outside on the lakes once you get past some of the rain. Last raindrops out there today. Let's touch in with Hattie McLean. Good morning.
Yeah, not a bad day to spend some time outside as well in Milwaukee, or if you head towards Milwaukee, towards the State Fair this morning. We're looking at great conditions today. It's not going to be terribly hot, which is always nice for the fair. Take a look at these temperatures, topping in the low 70s to our east today. A lot of clouds in the area. I don't think any major clearing is going to take place until a little bit later on this afternoon, but not a bad day to head to the fair. High temperature trend, though, is going to change. It's going to warm up pretty quickly, especially as we head towards the weekend. We're topping in the upper 80s, close to 90 degrees both Saturday and Sunday. Humidity will be a factor, so it's going to feel more uncomfortable. Temperatures then trend a little closer to normal as we head through next week. So just a couple of days coming up with those real hot and muggy conditions. Doppler track showing you that there are just a few sprinkles left in southeastern Wisconsin. Most of the rain well to our east. Nothing happening to the north and west just yet. This front is a slow moving front, so can't rule out a few sprinkles yet this morning, especially east of Madison, in between Madison and Milwaukee. Otherwise, mainly a dry day today. No airport delays at any of the major airports across the country, which is great news if you are flying today. Here's a look at that travel forecast. Still dry out west and very warm. Triple-digit heat in Phoenix as well as El Paso. Warm through the southern tier of the United States. The front that moved through our area yesterday will make its way towards the East Coast. So rain still in the forecast. Places like Jacksonville, Atlanta, and Washington, D.C. Much more comfortable, though, here through the midsection of the country. Chances for rain Chicago confined to mainly in the morning. Here's a look at your future track forecast model. As that front continues to track away from us today, high pressure will move into the region. That'll work to clear out the skies and bring drier air into the region for today and tomorrow. Tomorrow's temperatures will warm up just a little bit more. We should be back into the 80s. But this warm front marks the boundary, though, for that real hot and humid air that's already in place across the plains. That's moving into our area for the weekend. Here's a look at current temperatures this morning. 49 in Sioux Falls, down to 57 in Minneapolis this morning. Still 60s, though, here across southern Wisconsin. Dew points are going to trend down today, so it'll feel pretty comfortable this afternoon. Take a look at your pinpoint city highs today. 73 in New Glarus, 71 in Sun Prairie today, 71 as well in Prairie du Chien and Fenimore and Dodgeville. And to the north, we have a few cities that may not make it to 70 degrees today, hitting highs only in the upper 60s. Here in Madison, we should top right around 72 degrees. Look for a clearing trend late today. That'll set us up for sunshine tomorrow. And then again, hot and humid over the weekend with heat index values getting into the 90s. Boone and Luna, look how tiny, that must be Luna. Look how tiny compared to the dog.
I know.
Very cute.
Size of his head.
Yeah, but best buds.
It's
Good stuff. Yeah. Thanks, Hattie.
You're welcome.
Morning Sprint's coming up next here on News 3 this morning.
Time now for the morning sprint. Hattie says it'll be a bit cooler out today with a slight chance of rain. Leah Linscheid is looking ahead to preview a special call for action phone bank tonight.
And Christina Laurie's at the former Oscar Mayer plant with an update on plans to redevelop that space. But we start in Fitchburg, where detectives are looking for the people responsible for breaking into an apartment and shooting the man inside. This happened on Pike Drive, just off Fish Hatchery Road. Detectives believe multiple people came into the victim's apartment just after 10 last night, beat him up before firing multiple shots. That victim is at the hospital this morning being treated for serious injuries, but he is expected to survive.
Beloit police are still looking for a suspect who shot a 15-year-old yesterday afternoon. A 41-year-old man is also recovering from surgery after being shot in the abdomen near Hackett Elementary School. Police say the shooter knew both of those victims, but it's not clear if the victims knew one another. We will be sure to bring you updates later today on channel3000.com.
The interstate is back open in Juneau County this morning after a deadly crash involving thousands of gallons of diesel gasoline spilled on the highway. 2 people died in that crash yesterday afternoon near Mauston. It involved 3 semi-trucks, 2 SUVs, and a motorcycle. State troopers say one of the semi-drivers ran into a car that had slowed down ahead of him on the road.
Senator Ron Johnson will take part in a Foreign Relations Committee meeting today focused on the country's deal with Wisconsin's 2 largest export markets. A group of lawmakers launched a bipartisan effort to keep President Trump from withdrawing from NATO without 2/3 support from the Senate. Now, the president has said the deal with Canada and Mexico unfairly favors those countries over the U.S. Wisconsin producers sell nearly $10 billion worth of goods a year to Canada and Mexico, accounting for almost half of the state's exports.
People living on Madison's north side are hoping the site of the former Oscar Mayer plant will be redeveloped back into what it once was. Last year, Madison's Common Council established the Oscar Mayer Strategic Assessment Committee to oversee a framework for redeveloping the site. The 15-member committee, made up of city officials and community members, is tasked with evaluating the neighborhood's assets, needs, and investment possibilities. It will then recommend a plan for redeveloping the site. You can weigh in on what you'd like to see at a meeting tonight at 6 o'clock at the Warner Park Community Recreation Center. That's on North Point Drive. The Planning Committee hopes to release a finalized vision for redevelopment in the next 3 months.
And feeling just a little bit like fall today. We start with cloudy skies in the area. The rain has pushed out of the region. A few isolated showers still possible south and east of Madison. There may be a little clearing taking place around Janesville and Watertown, but the clouds will quickly fill in. We are going to start with cloudy skies and cool conditions today. Temps will be slow to warm, only heading into the low 70s this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Hattie. Ohio State football head coach Urban Meyer is on paid leave this morning as the university looks into whether he knew about domestic violence incidents that allegedly involved an assistant coach. Zach Smith was fired last week after he was officially charged with trespassing. His ex-wife says Meyer's wife knew about threats made years ago and that Shelley Meyer told her husband about it. If that's the case, Urban and Shelley Meyer would be in violation of the university's sexual misconduct policy and could be fired. Coach Meyer has said that he has no prior knowledge of Zach Smith's involvement in any prior domestic violence incidents.
CBS President Les Moonves is expected to take questions from investors today as the network announces its quarterly earnings report. The longtime network head is facing sexual misconduct allegations from at least 6 women dating back to the 1980s and 90s. CBS's board of directors has hired 2 outside law firms to investigate those allegations. Moonves will have no role in that investigation.
Back closer to home, there's a meeting tonight for Mount Horeb families to talk about multiple suicides that have recently happened in that community. The school district's hosting a forum for parents and teens focused on talking about mental health and the resources out there to help. Organizers recommend any kids who want to come out to the meeting be at least 14 years old. The forum goes from 6 to 8 at the public library.
Our Call for Action volunteers here at News 3 are holding special evening hours to take your calls and help you with any problems you might be having with a bill or a business. Lunch hours. But if those times don't work for you, this event is for you. From 5 until 7 tonight, volunteers will be taking your calls to help with any consumer-related issue. Problem with a bill? Fighting with a company? Give us a call, 608-270-2833, starting at 5 this evening, and see if we can help.
Thank you, Leah. The Badger football team gets back to work this afternoon with its first practice of fall training camp. They'll get 20 practice sessions in before taking on Western Kentucky on Friday night, August 31st. The Badgers went undefeated in the regular season. They won the Orange Bowl last year with a school record 13 wins last season.
We are showing the state of Texas who's boss today, thanks to the dairy farmers of Wisconsin who built a cheese board downtown yesterday at Concerts on the Square that weighed in at over 4,000 pounds of cheese. We now have a new Guinness World Record. Those farmers ended up donating more than 1,000 pounds of that cheese to the Second Harvest Food Bank afterwards. The previous record was set at South by Southwest earlier this year.
We are keeping an eye on the roads around John Nolan Drive for the CrossFit Games that continue today. Let's check in on your first alert traffic with Josh Tim. Good morning, Josh.
Hey guys, well, the Beltline is continuing to pick up heading westbound. Brake lights showing up between Stoughton Road and West Broadway. I would plan on an extra couple minutes added to your drive. John Nolan is definitely busier than usual with the CrossFit Games traffic. Things are beginning to slow down already between Rimrock and Olin Avenue in both directions. That's going to add a few minutes. Other main routes leading into the city are still moving at the usual speeds with no major crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thanks, Josh.
And here's a look at the Henry Vilas Zoo, the polar bear enclosure there. Bear's still doing laps. Perfect for a polar bear. Might be a little cool for the humans if you are planning on going to the pool today. Cloudy skies to start. Temperatures will be slow to warm up in the 60s still at lunchtime, topping only in the low 70s this afternoon. Clearing though late.
Tune in to Live at 4, see if they get wet later this afternoon. They're live at the CrossFit Games.
Making plans that are weather dependent? Get an accurate 12-hour, even a 10-day forecast. Download the Channel 3000 First Alert Weather app and start planning.